Holy shit, chat. Wow, we are back. Harry Potter evening. Let's go. Screen share. Alright, so the first video we are gonna react to that is Harry Potter related is all 72 Harry Potter ranked deleted scenes ranked. So we're gonna see if this dude's ranking or not. Let's get into it. Shout out to shout out to Movie Flame for making this.
The Harry Potter books are massive, which oftentimes leads to filmmakers leaving a lot on the cutting room floor when adapting each book to the big screen, which in turn gives us a massive amount of deleted scenes. Looking at just the official deleted scenes, there are a whopping 72 of them. Now I know there are some other ones that didn't get released, but for this video we're focusing just on the official ones. We are going to rank all 72 of them from worst to best, which I have not seen anybody on YouTube do yet. I've seen them rank each film individually, but for this one, we're doing all 8 films together. For my ranking, we're basing this on a few things. 1, what it would have added to the original film, and 2, the impact it had on the story and the characters, and 3, just how much I enjoyed it, because after all, this is my list with my own opinions. Before we get into the video though, I want to thank today's sponsor, Nebula by Anchor.
Okay.
Code you can use. Now that I've said that, let's rank some deleted scenes. Coming in last place at number 72, we have Yaxley finding Hermione's parents' house in the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This one is pretty useless. Yaxley just goes into an empty house and stands in it. Definitely the most pointless scene on the list. I'm glad they cut it. Number 71.
I agree with that. I agree with that as number 72.
The extended cake drop in the Chamber of Secrets. They added a few more shots and a little extra dialogue.
Oh, all of my suits are tailor-made.
The use of them being to add more suspense, but I thought the original scene had enough suspense as it was. It didn't need all this.
I mean, I think it would have been cool to see more, but I mean, I guess I agree it wouldn't really affect us to get more intriguing and more suspenseful.
Number 70 is the Aberforth scene in Deathly Hallows Part 2. This scene is not actually deleted.
I know this one. This scene is stupid, just wait.
It's just different from the original, but it was still part of the official deleted scenes, so I felt like I had to add it. This was what they originally shot, but realizing how boring it was with them all sitting, they reshot it with them standing up and yelling a bit more, and I'm so glad that they did, because it makes such a difference.
We need to get into Hogwarts tonight. Your brother gave me a job to do. We need to get into Hogwarts tonight. Dumbledore gave us a job to do.
Number 69 is Trelawney at dinner in the Order of the Phoenix. Trelawney just makes a mess of things for—
This is just a funny scene in my opinion. I don't hate this one. I think this one's just funny.
2.5 minutes at dinner, and it's hit or miss for me. It was funny at times, but stupid at others. I know it's supposed to show that she never comes down for meals, and when she does, she's very nervous. But 2.5 minutes of this is just too much, and I'm glad they cut it. Number 68 is the rooster scene in the Chamber of Secrets. This did not need to be in the film. It's nice that they added some more lore from the book about the roosters.
I think it's well needed. I say it's well needed because, well, like, it's a major part of the basilisk lore and everything. I think it should
being killed as they're the enemy of the basilisk, but this adds nothing to the movie if you really think about it. Good on the filmmakers for cutting this. Number 67, The Bird's Tour of the Hogwarts Grounds Extended, The Prisoner of Azkaban. I love this idea in the original movie as it shows how everything on the grounds is all connected, but this deleted scene adds going down to bother Hagrid, which is unnecessary. It was better without this. I also like the idea of this just being the grounds and no living beings other than the bird, and adding Hagrid sort of ruins that. Number 66, Harry just misses Cho in the Goblet of Fire. Another sort of useless scene. Harry asking Cho out in the alley.
Like, the whole Cho and Harry thing is stupid. I hate it. I hate Kari, I don't know, whatever their ship name was. I don't know.
was all we needed to see. It was a good decision to cut this out. Number 65, Harry wakes up Ron to tell him it was Hagrid in the Chamber of Secrets. Another sort of pointless scene. I thought the way the original cut announced this was way better, as it was to both Ron and Hermione, and it fit in really well with the transition of the scenes. Number 64, the letters in the egg and the Philosopher's Stone. This was a good reference to the book, but we had a few other examples of how the owls were swarming the house with letters, and we didn't need another one.
Yeah, I mean, they included all like the letter stuff. This scene would be like 45 minutes long.
Number 63, Harry gets his invisibility cloak. Again, we did not need to see him getting the cloak, especially because the last scene ended with Harry telling us he was going to do this. We didn't need to see it. Number 62, Borgin catches Harry from the Chamber of Secrets. This scene was a bit suspenseful, but honestly, nothing really happened here, and it wasn't the best acting from the actor that played Borgin.
Looking for something?
Number 61, the Hogwarts theme song from the Goblet of Fire.
Thank God they got this. It's so shit. Oh, it's so bad.
This was sort of cringeworthy. I think that the other schools' reactions were all of ours as well. But I have to say, it is cool to see the song come to life on the big screen.
Youngsters and the Barbatons both have much better opening chants than us, and I'm pissed off about this. Stan, you're a Durmstrang. Would you not agree that your blokes have got, and the Barbatons have got a much better entrance? They come in doing martial arts, and ours is the Hogwarts, teach us something, please.
Number 60, the origin of the radio from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. It was cool to see where the radio came from, as it did play a role in the movie, and I love that it's part of Arthur.
Played a slight role in the book, but they made it a way bigger role in the movies. Actually, yeah, because they skipped the most important radio part in the movies.
Muggle collection, but I never once questioned where this came from, so I don't think we needed this scene to tell us. Number 59, Justin Finch Fletchley's introduction from the Chamber of Secrets. Seeing as Justin was the one that the snake went after, it was cool to have an introduction to him and to know that he was a Muggle-born, but overall not entirely necessary. This is the first one on this list so far though that might have made this scene better. Number 58, Umbridge observes Trelawney's class extended from the Order of the Phoenix. This one has some great comedy, as Umbridge continued to interrupt her every single time Trelawney began to teach the class.
Just one question, dear.
Which was really well done, but I do like how they shortened this and integrated it into the montage. I think it made the movie work much better. Number 57, Harry and Ron watch the Durmstrang students from the Goblet of Fire. Just watching Harry and Ron's reaction is priceless, but I think it was good to get rid of it because it's too similar to the awkward interaction they had with the Ravenclaw girls earlier. Number 56, Harry tells off the Grey Lady from the Chamber of Secrets. This is a cool Easter egg, as you see the Grey Lady interact with Harry.
Do you mind?
We of course later find out that she is Helena Ravenclaw, the daughter of Rowena Ravenclaw, which makes this Easter egg even better. However, as cool as this Easter egg is, I'm glad they cut it, because I don't know why the ghost that represents Ravenclaw would be in the Gryffindor common room. Maybe they realized that too, and that's why they cut it. Number 55, Filch locks up the Slytherins from the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This scene was a bit weird and not entirely necessary, but it's pretty dang exciting. Also, Filch's reactions are hilarious and might have pushed this up a bit on the list. Number 54, the trio discusses Crouch's death from the Goblet of Fire.
Hold on. Alright, so I'm always mad at this scene because the Crouch's death in the book is so utterly fantastic, and then the movie just shits on it. Like, they spit on it. It's disgraceful.
This one really gives us a lot of information about Crouch from the book, and it's pretty eerie.
He was murdered at Hogwarts. This is a big deal.
However, I think it was dialogue that wouldn't have added much to this already bulky film. Also, while making this, I noticed how many deleted scenes have Harry staring into the fire. This is the first of a few that I'll point out as we go. Number 53, Seamus and Neville rig the bridge in the Deathly Hallows Part 2. It's cool to see how they rigged it up, and it gave me one of my favorite Seamus and Neville moments as they give each other the thumbs up. But I think it was cooler to leave this out and have the bridge explosion be a surprise when Neville was running. Number 52, Harry enters Dumbledore's office before their talk in the Order of the Phoenix. This was a cool concept, as Harry walked in before their talk and saw both the Sword of Gryffindor and the Sorting Hat, reminding both Harry and the audience of a previous conversation Harry had in this office 3 movies before this one. Overall though, it wasn't really needed. It worked better to just cut right from their conversation without Dumbledore welcoming Harry in. Number 51, the extended bludger scene from the Chamber of Secrets. This had some cool action, which was fun to watch, especially when Harry went into the crowd, but it's not really necessary. There was plenty of this chase in the theatrical cut. We didn't need this. Number 50, the extended flying car scene from the Chamber of Secrets. Again, great action and a pretty crazy scene as they almost ran into Big Ben, but we had enough suspense later on in the car ride. Again, we didn't need this as well. Number 49, Harry and Hagrid on the underground from the Philosopher's Stone. It's really funny to see the looks Hagrid got for his size and for talking about dragons, but everything we heard in this scene was already present in the original cut of the film. It wasn't needed. Number 48, Harry and Hermione's hallway conversation extended from the Half-Blood Prince. This conversation went over Draco looking at the Vanishing Cabinet, Dumbledore traveling, and Draco looking ill. The Vanishing Cabinet and Dumbledore traveling had already been covered, but Draco looking ill was a new one, which is definitely an interesting plot point and definitely made this move up a bit on the list because that was an interesting topic. Number 47, the trio's talk on the bridge from the Goblet of Fire. Another scene with nothing but dialogue, but this one stands out more than the ones that came before it because of what Harry says at the end.
Something's coming closer. I can feel it.
This is great foreshadowing for Voldemort returning, and also great backtracking, as it's very similar to the scene in the first movie.
My scar keeps burning. I think it's a warning.
Which, had they kept this in, would have been very poetic to have both of these side by side. Number 46, Umbridge and Filch react to Fred and George's escape from the Order of the Phoenix. This one is just funny, especially when Filch blows out the smoke on Umbridge's head. It very well could have been higher on this list, but I think I placed it here because it would have changed the tone quite a bit before Harry saw the vision of Sirius, so I had to push it down a bit. Number 45, Sir Cadogan from The Prisoner of Azkaban. Sir Cadogan is such a funny character that I wish got more screen time in the films. However, this scene didn't add much other than being silly, and we already had a silly moment by a portrait outside of the common room with the fat lady, so this might have felt repetitive had it been kept in. Number 44, the Weird Sisters extended from the Goblet of Fire. This scene was very amusing. Did it have to be almost 3 minutes? No, but it was cool to see their entire performance. However, I'm glad they cut it. I think they had the perfect amount of them in the final cut. Number 43, the extended night bus scene from The Prisoner of Azkaban. The night bus doing donuts and Harry hanging on for dear life was great fun. But as fun as this scene is, I think we had enough night bus excitement in the final cut. Number 42, the flying car gone wild from the Chamber of Secrets.
Harry! Harry, it's our car! And look, the forest has turned it wild.
Seeing Harry and Ron stumble upon the car in the forest before it saved them was a nice moment that really highlights the car's journey, but having it show up in the theatrical cut without this scene was fine the way it was. Number 41, Harry and Hermione talk in the common room from the Half-Blood Prince. I love the banter between these two friends here.
Honestly, Harry, sometimes I think the Daily Prophet should call you the dim one.
Nice.
Other than that though, there wasn't any information in here that we didn't already know. We've actually seen the filmmakers be smart about cutting extra dialogue scenes that aren't entirely necessary, and good on them, because I wish more films did that these days. We have like 3-hour films way too often. Making these videos, it's really highlighted to me that the Harry
Although low-key, I would have watched a 3-hour Harry Potter film.
Potter films exceed at show don't tell, which is a mark of a great franchise. Number 40, Bill's warning from the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
I know goblins. If you've struck any kind of bargain with Griphook, you must be...
I think I've watched the Peacock films too much because they do the extended editions. Even though I have the disc, I used to watch all Max Law, which is theatrical, but on Peacock they're all extended. And I've watched all these scenes like 1,000 times because Peacock does extended. So I've seen a lot of these deleted scenes.
Exceptionally careful to live up to it. If you don't, he won't be forgiving.
This piece of dialogue was so well delivered, and had it been in the movie, it might have added more dread when it came to the trio trusting Griphook. Although, as I said in my video essay about this film, I'm quite glad that they cut this scene for pacing reasons. Number 39, the other Crabbe and Goyle from the Chamber of Secrets. I'm actually combining two different deleted scenes here because they pretty much go together. The first one is of Harry and Ron hiding Crabbe and Goyle in the closet, and the second one is where they confront each other when they wake up, which is comedy gold. Also, in between that, we saw Hermione brewing the Polyjuice potion and saw just how disgusting it looked, which we didn't really get a good look at in the theatrical cut. Number 38, Harry holds Ginny's hand from the Deathly Hallows Part 2. If you've watched my videos, you know that Harry and Ginny are my favorite couple, not just in the Harry Potter series, but of all time.
Yeah, I might agree. I'm a big Ginny stan. I love them. So, kind of agree. The movies are shit though. They should have added the holding hands, you know.
And you'll also know that I was very disappointed with how the films portrayed the relationship. That's why I'll take any good Harry and Ginny scene I can get. And though this is a pretty small moment, I really wish they kept this in. And me saying that is noteworthy because that's the first time I felt like that. This is the first scene on this list that I felt like should have been kept in. All of the others before this could have been left out in my opinion. Number 37, Tom Riddle's trophy from the Chamber of Secrets.
But I know that name. Of course. That night I had detention. My job was to polish the silver in the trophy room. I remember. Because I kept burping up slugs over Tom Riddle's trophy. What's the trophy for? He won an award 50 years ago. Special services to the school or something.
It was a nice detail to get Tom Riddle's services to the school trophy in there, especially because we saw this in an Easter egg in the last movie. It was also fun in this scene to see Hermione's brain working so fast. Saw this in an Easter egg.
Oh shit, right there. Oh, that's sick.
Like in the last movie. It was also fun in this scene to see Hermione's brain working so fast as she figures everything out.
It's possible he knew where the chamber was, how to open it, even what sort of creature lives in it.
Number 36, Colin Creevey's introduction extended from the Chamber of Secrets.
It's for my dad. He needs a milk.
Rest in peace, Colin and all, but he pisses me off in the early films.
When, you know, a muggle, like all our
And they slowly phase him out, and then I don't mind Colin as much.
family's been until me.
It was great to find out that Colin was a muggle-born here, making his attack mean much more later on. Also, Ron's comment at the end makes me laugh every time.
Everyone just thought I was mental.
Imagine that.
Number 35, Ernie Macmillan gossips about Harry from the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah,
I've
that's
talked
why
about
I
this
hate
scene
Ernie a
before
little
because
bit.
it's great acting from a relatively unknown actor.
That's probably why you know who wanted to kill him in the first place. Didn't want another Dark Lord competing with him.
It also adds more depth to Harry being isolated and hated, which the book did very well, and I always felt the movie sort of lacked. So maybe if they had kept this in, it would have fixed that. Number 34, Barty Jr.'s slip up from the Goblet of Fire. First of all, they added a great shot that showed Crouch Sr.'s reaction to seeing who he thought was his son after the tongue flick, which was great. But it gets better as we see Barty Jr. falter for the first time while in disguise as Moody.
If you want to play the hero, I can find you plenty playmates among the first years. Otherwise, I suggest you grow up, and grow up fast.
And him slipping also shows how dedicated he is
How
to
does he
completing
slip?
the mission for his master. You can just hear it in his voice. Number 33, Lockhart's test from the Chamber of Secrets. This one is just hysterical.
Look at these questions. They're all about him.
What is Gilderoy Lockhart's favourite colour?
It really highlights how arrogant Lockhart is, which granted, the film didn't really need because they did a good job of making him arrogant in the theatrical cut, but this would have been the icing on the cake, I think.
Tut, tut. Hardly any of you remember that my favorite color is lilac.
Number 32, the Gryffindor Common Room from the Order of the Phoenix. This is just really cool because it's not often that we see the day-to-day here with people other than the trio, and it really gives you the feeling the books gave you. You feel like you're hanging out there with them. Also, we have another deleted scene with Harry looking into the fire, making this the second example. Number 31, the start of the Inquisitorial Squad from the Order of the Phoenix. This not only highlights the Bronze Trio's bullying traits, but also shows you how evil Umbridge is. To see that and immediately recruit them to her group, what an awful teacher. Number 30,
Retweet.
Harry and Ron's fun turns to resentment from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. For years, I did not know how to feel about this scene, but I've come to really like it.
This one.
I think it would have felt really out of place had it been in the movie, which is why it isn't higher. But I felt number 30 was the perfect position for it because it's a perfect metaphor for how the trio is feeling on their mission. They can have fun, but tensions are so high that can change in an instant. And on top of that, it also perfectly foreshadows Ron leaving as they walk back far apart from one another, hinting at their rift. Number 29, Harry questions who he is from the Chamber of Secrets.
Who am I, Hedwig?
This is a good scene too.
What am I?
This scene is really powerful. It shows how Harry is questioning everything about who he is and where he came from. The talk around him has flipped his opinion on himself, completely changing how he views himself, which is kind of tragic.
Yeah.
Number 28,
Good
Ron
scene.
and Hermione try to help a grieving Harry from the Order of the Phoenix. Sirius's death affected Harry greatly, and this scene not only highlights that, but also how much Ron and Hermione care about Harry. The way they look
Yeah.
at each other after Ron
Very
couldn't get
true.
through to him shows how Harry's sorrow becomes their sorrow, and it's a really interesting look at the trio's dynamic that I love. Number 27, the aftermath of the Mirror of Erised from the Philosopher's Stone. This scene really showed how much the mirror affected Harry. It makes him not think of
mirror
anything
affects
but the
Harry
parents he
like
didn't have.
crazy.
Want to play chess? No. Want to go and visit Hagrid? No. Harry, I know what you're thinking, but don't. There's something not right about that mirror.
Also, this is the third deleted scene where Harry stares into the fire. Number 26, Neville stands up for Harry in the Order of the Phoenix. This one is quick, but it's actually one of my favorite Neville lines, and it was taken right from the novel.
Retweet, yeah.
My gran says it's the Daily Prophet that's rubbish. She's cancelled our subscription.
It's a shame it was cut, because it shows how supportive Neville is of Harry,
Neville's
as
the
Neville
goat.
was one of the
Neville's
few to
good.
take his side that year. Number 25, after the first Hogsmeade trip from the Prisoner of Azkaban. This one is just a lot of fun and houses so many Easter eggs, like Neville and Dean pulling this long stick out of the box from
Jesus.
Zonko's, Crabbe and
It's
Goyle
long.
pouring water on this kid, the streamer shooting out, Honeyduke's candy, pumpkin juice, the mini Quidditch pitch in the background, Harry eating
cool.
the candy, and my personal favorite from this scene, the pocket sneaker scope that was taken right from the page.
It's a pocket sneaker scope. If there's anyone untrustworthy around, it's meant to light up and spin.
And to top it all off, this was all shot in one take, which is wild considering how much is going on. This film is of course known for that, but I think this is honestly one of the best examples of it, and which made it have to be in the top 25. Number 24, Harry and Hermione's discussion on the Astronomy Tower extended from the Half-Blood Prince. This is a nice back and forth that highlights both Ron and Hermione's feelings for each other.
When I'm around, keep the snogging to a minimum, please.
Like that's going to happen. Besides, he's barking.
He says the same thing about you.
And also how much Harry cares about both of them.
You're brilliant. You're both brilliant.
And that look
Yeah,
that
they're all
Harry and Ron
very,
share at
very
the end
attached
is
to
so sweet.
each other.
It says
They're
so
all-
much without a line of dialogue. Number 23, Filch's quick spells from the Chamber of Secrets. A few times we get a look at how Filch is a squib, and Harry of course
Yeah,
found
this
this
is
quick
funny.
spells course in the novel as well, so I
Yep.
love when it's taken straight from the page. This quick little sequence also shows why Filch hates the kids. He's jealous of them, which I think adds
Yeah.
so much to Filch's
He's
character.
a
I
jealous
personally
fuck.
think they should have kept this in, because it changes the way we look at Filch.
Yeah.
Number 22, before Harry's mission with Dumbledore from the Half-Blood Prince. I really liked how this one adds suspense to the cave scene as they tell Harry it's time.
It's time, Harry.
Also, just hearing the trio interact in what's called a walk and talk scene, sorry if I'm boring you with my film school mumbo jumbo, but I think they made great use of this because it adds excitement to what they're talking about. It's also a lot of fun to return to an old location that was used a lot in the earlier films, but that we
Yeah.
hadn't seen in quite some time. However, the thing that really makes the scene be as high as it is what Harry says at the end, which is one of my favorite lines in the 6th book, which is actually my favorite book in the series.
Good luck, mate. I don't need luck. I'll be with Dumbledore.
Number 21, Sirius
that.
breaks into Gryffindor Tower from the Prisoner of Azkaban. This scene
Here's
has so
Neville.
much going on. It covers the
Neville.
fact that Sirius
Fuck,
broke into
come on.
Gryffindor common room and held a knife over Ron, which is crazy. It gives us more hilarious Sir Cadogan scenes.
On a little piece of paper.
It gives us more of pathetic Neville,
Is it always going to be you, Longbottom?
I'm afraid so, Mum.
which only adds more to his redemption in the end. And we also get some A+ acting from Daniel Radcliffe.
He was right there. He was close enough to touch. I could have killed him.
Also, notice what he's doing at the end of the scene, staring into the fire, the fourth example of this. I think it's just an omen. If you have Harry sitting in front of a fire, it's most likely going to be cut. Number 20, the cut Great Hall scene from the Philosopher's Stone. Like the last one, this scene has so much going on. First off, it has some great Ron and Hermione dialogue.
Ask me any question.
All right. What are the 3 most crucial ingredients in a forgetfulness potion?
I forgot.
And what, may I ask, do you plan to do if this comes up in the final exam?
Copy off you?
No, you won't.
Like the last scene, it also adds more of pathetic Neville, again making his redemption at the end even better. This scene also adds more to the running gag of Seamus blowing things up.
That's all I need. You to set my bloody kneecaps on fire.
I don't appreciate the insinuation, Longbottom. Besides, if anyone cares to notice, my eyebrows have completely grown back.
And on top of that,
yo, that's crazy. Holy shit, yeah. That is that's funny. That was real funny.
It shows how the trio really discovered Nicholas Flamel, as it was Harry to do this, not Hermione. And the card he read also mentioned Dumbledore's epic duel with Grindelwald, which is a great detail and a great Easter egg.
Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945. Go on.
Number 19, Arthur Weasley and the Ministry of Magic in the Deathly Hallows Part 1. One of the main reasons why this scene is so high is because it highlights how good-natured Arthur Weasley is.
Try to have faith. If there's anything that Molly and I can do to help.
This is something we don't see a lot in the movies. We always see he's a great dad, but we rarely see how down-to-earth he is. Also, the back and forth between Arthur and Harry is so tense and really adds uncertainty to the Weasleys' well-being.
You know you're being tracked, don't you?
Is that a threat, Uncle?
No. It's a fact. They're watching you.
Number 18, Harry struggling with the heir of Slytherin from the Chamber of Secrets. This scene actually focused on something that the book did not, and that was Harry questioning if he was the one who opened the Chamber of Secrets. The filmmakers backed this statement with the fact that he did not know he could speak to snakes either.
I didn't know I could speak Parseltongue. What else don't I know about myself?
It's really interesting and a really good job by the filmmakers to dive into how Harry is struggling with this. Number 17, Ron's almost confession from the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This was just a small cute moment where Ron was going to tell Hermione that he loved her, which was made for the movie. He did not do this in the book.
Hermione, yes?
Oh my god. Why does the snake look like that, chat? Yeah, this scene wasn't fully edited. This scene wasn't fully edited. Ew! Look how the snake moves! Ew!
Yes? I don't want you to say anything that you wouldn't say if you weren't about to be killed by a giant snake. It'll just ruin it.
It also adds humor to the moment as well, and it's always nice to see a positive Ron and Hermione moment in the movies, because as we know, they really pushed Harry and Hermione's relationship much more. Number 16, Harry and Dudley's uniforms from the Philosopher's Stone. The meaning behind this scene is very thought-provoking, as it demonstrates how differently Harry and Dudley are treated in this house. They gush over Dudley and his new and expensive uniform, and then show how they won't even buy Harry his uniform, instead dyeing one of Dudley's old shirts.
This is what you're going to be wearing when I've finished dyeing it.
But that's Dudley's old uniform. It'll fit me like bits of old elephant skin.
It'll fit you well enough.
It tells us all we need to know about how they grew up. Number 15, Draco and Lucius and Borgin and Burkes from the Chamber of Secrets. Not only does this scene show Draco discovering the Vanishing Cabinet
like 15,000 fucking times.
The cabinet that would be a crucial plot point for his character 4 movies later, but it also shows how Draco grew up, and even more, why he's a bully. It's because of his father.
Don't touch anything, Draco.
Which wasn't necessarily the case in the book, but I love the fact that the movies ran with this.
He's such an unpleasant little slimeball. I decided I should win him some sympathy, so you see me bully him mercilessly.
Also, this scene allowed us to see more of the dark shot Borgin and Burkes, which was a treat because the set is absolutely amazing. With all of the things I just listed, I felt it deserved to be in the top 15. Number 14, the Horcrux breakdown from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I always like this scene because it's the closest thing we get to the missing Voldemort memories from the 6th book, which was honestly my favorite part in the entire series. It mentions the ring belonging to Voldemort's grandfather Marvolo, which was the first memory Dumbledore showed Harry.
The ring, which according to Dumbledore belonged to Tom's grandfather.
And it also mentions the mother of Voldemort having the locket, which was another memory that we read about in the 6th book.
And then this, which again, according to Dumbledore, belonged to Tom's mother.
Also, the film adding the heartbeat to the Horcrux was chilling, and was something the filmmakers made from just one small little mention in the book, which is absolutely fantastic and shows great adapting.
It's ticking or something. Like it's got a heart. Like it's alive.
Number 13, Snape and Karkaroff's conversation from the Goblet of Fire. This standoff between Snape and Karkaroff is so fascinating because it takes place before we know their past as Death Eaters, which we would learn later on in the memory. Karkaroff is scared of Voldemort's return and tries to get Snape to admit that he is too.
You don't fool me, Severus. You are scared.
But Snape plays it cool, his demeanor showing why he was successful at being a triple agent.
I have nothing to be scared of, Igor. Can you say the same?
Also, Karkaroff trying to get to Snape's arm while he quickly pulls it away is great foreshadowing of the Dark Mark, which both Harry and the audience see for the first time in the very next scene during Harry's dream. Had this deleted scene been added, that moment would have meant so much more because we would be like, oh my god, the thing he was protecting on his arm is this, the Dark Mark. Number 12, Umbridge's breakdown from the Order of the Phoenix. This scene just houses incredible acting and is honestly one of the best monologues in the series, which blows my mind that they cut this.
You know, I really hate children. You really are the most untidy creatures. I mean, look what you've done to me! I really cannot take it anymore!
It's such great dialogue that it's almost criminal to cut, especially because this was the shortest film in the series by far. They had plenty of room to add it. I also love how Umbridge tries to justify what she's doing more to herself than anybody else, again with great acting.
Sometimes the ends do justify the means. I think certainly no one could blame me. And if it falls to me to sort out, yes, I will do what must be done.
Number 11, the discussion at the grave from the Deathly Hallows Part 2. There are just so many things to highlight in this scene. First of all, the first line has a lot of deeper meaning.
The sky has lost a star.
As this references the stars being reflected in Dobby's eyes when he died in the novel, which is such great attention to detail. This scene also highlights how much Luna grew as a character while being locked up, which is very powerful.
It's not the place you left, you know. It's not the same.
Neither am I.
And most of all, this scene explains the eye in the mirror.
You're gonna tell me what that is? You're gonna think I'm mental, but more than once when I've looked into it, I think I've seen Dumbledore.
Which, besides this mention, was never explained in the movies. They just kept showing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And I guess if you didn't read the book, too bad. This part definitely should have been kept in.
Yep,
We've now made it to the
100%.
top 10, and number 10 is the trio's friendship beginning from the Philosopher's Stone. This scene is based entirely on one amazing line from the book, but from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend.
Yeah.
And this scene encapsulates that line perfectly.
What a friend's fool.
They perfectly adapt this line to be on the big screen, which is not easy to do. It makes this such an important scene, and I really wish they kept it in.
100% they
Number
should
9, Harry says goodbye to Hogwarts and Ginny from the Half-Blood Prince. I feel like this scene is never talked about. It's so powerful,
I haven't
as
seen
Harry
this one.
takes one last look at his dormitory where he had lived for the past 6 years, knowing he was not coming back. Then we see him and Ginny stare at each other, both knowing it was over for now. I feel like most people don't understand how hard this is to do, so I'm gonna explain it. The scene took a few moments from Dumbledore's funeral in the book, as there he came out and said he was not coming back, which the film brilliantly showed by him taking one last look at his dorm. And at the funeral, Harry also cut it off with Ginny, which the film did wordlessly, as the two stared at each other knowingly. Turning dialogue from a novel to a wordless scene is some of the hardest writing a screenwriter has to do,
Yeah,
and they did it
100%.
flawlessly here.
Yeah.
Number 8, Snape's first class extended from the Philosopher's Stone. In the original cut, Harry stays quiet as Snape belittles him, but here, Harry talks back.
Clearly, Hermione knows. Seems a pity not to ask her.
This provokes Snape into singling Harry out even more, and it sets the stage for just how much these two loathe each other, and shows that it's not one-sided. Harry takes shots at Snape as well. It's not just Snape attacking Harry. By just adding these few extra seconds of interaction, it intensifies their rocky relationship a great deal, thus making this moment 7 years later mean even more. I so wish that they kept this in. Number 7, Tom Riddle's cave excursion from the Half-Blood Prince. As I said in the beginning, this is my list with my own opinions, and my favorite part of the series are the Voldemort memories. Like the deleted scene with the Horcrux explanation, this scene adds even more to Voldemort's past, as Dumbledore explains one of the most chilling things Tom Riddle did as a kid.
You lured 2 young classmates to this cave. What happened is unclear, but this much is known. The children were damaged.
If they had kept this in, I think it would not only add to Voldemort's backstory, but would also make this cave scene even more ominous than it already was in the movie.
True.
Number 6, Dumbledore's trust in Harry from the Half-Blood Prince. We have back-to-back scenes that have to do with the cave sequence, and this one houses one of my favorite lines in the entire series.
It's all right, sir. Don't worry. I'm nearly there.
I'm not worried, Harry. I'm with you.
It shows how much trust Dumbledore has in Harry, which is so meaningful. Also, when paired with the line from the other deleted scene where Harry has full trust in Dumbledore,
I don't need luck. I'll be with Dumbledore.
These two scenes together mean even more. This might be a short deleted scene, but for me, this is honestly one of the most shocking things that they cut, which is why it's placed so high. It definitely deserved to be in the final cut. Number 5, Dudley's redemption from the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
I don't think you're a waste of space.
Dudley never got a redemption in the films, which is pretty disappointing if I'm being honest. I don't think I even have to explain why this is in the top 5. It's the wrap up to one of the main characters that's been around since the very beginning. Cutting his redemption was criminal because it leaves Dudley on a completely different note than the book did.
See you, Big D.
Number 4.
That scene always gives me chills, and when I like listen back to the audiobooks, I go read that scene again. It's like, jeez. Because it really gives you a great deal of respect for Dudley. Because in the movies, they just leave Dudley as a fucking rotten, spoiled kid who has no respect for anybody on planet Earth. But that's not the case in the books.
Tonks and Lupin from the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Tonks and Lupin were done dirty in the movies, but this scene would have fixed a lot of that. We see Tonks run into Lupin's arms, and it shows just how much they love one another. Then on top of that, it mentions their son Teddy.
It's Teddy who needs you.
He'll sleep till dawn and snore like his father.
Which the films didn't do until after they died.
And Remus, your son.
The audience not knowing that they had a son before they died takes away much of the heartbreak that their deaths brought forth. Seeing their bodies and knowing they're leaving an orphan behind makes this so much more tragic. It's really a shame that the filmmakers left this scene out, because it would have enhanced several different parts of the story as well as the characters. Number 3, Skipping Stones by the River from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This is honestly one of the most wholesome scenes in the entire series, and it melts my heart every time. Ron teaches Hermione how to skip stones, and not only does it give us some great Ron and Hermione moments, but it's also hilarious.
We're getting there, we're getting there.
Then at the end, it shows Harry being isolated from Ron and Hermione while they have a fun and flirty time. Number 2, In Noctum from the Half-Blood Prince. This is probably the most well-known deleted scene, as it extends the time before the Battle of the Astronomy Tower. The music from the choir is absolutely chilling as the clouds form in the air. Then we have one of the best shots in the entire series, and the fact that this shot did not make it into the final film is honestly upsetting. While looking into the sky as the clouds form, half of Snape's face is in the shadow, while the other half is in the light, perfectly showing his struggle with good and evil. Then as the camera moves, his face is shrouded in nothing but shadows, hinting at his dark times as a Death Eater. But as the shot continues, it demonstrates that that darkness does not matter, as we finish with his face being fully in the light, just as his character would be in the end. All good. Then, going from that, it immediately cuts to another person struggling with the dark and the light, making Draco getting up even more significant as he embraces the darkness. This is honestly an example of cinematography brilliance, lighting brilliance, acting brilliance, and tone brilliance. It says so much without a word of dialogue, and it's a shame they left this out. And finally at number 1, we have Petunia's redemption from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This was not in the book, but it's incredibly momentous for Petunia's character in the movies. As she stands in her empty house, she thinks her entire life over, and for the first time, perhaps ever in the films, we see a different side to Petunia, a side that loved her deceased sister.
You didn't just lose a mother that night in Godric's Hollow, you know. I lost a sister.
It adds so much to her character as we leave her on a very different note than the original cut of the film did. And even more, it adds so much more to her scenes in The Prince's Tale. The Prince's Tale in the film did not highlight her good relationship with Lily like the book did. They only showed her being mean to Lily. That makes this scene even more important to part 1 of the final film, and that is why it belongs in this number 1 spot. It completely alters our view on a character. A character who has been there since the very beginning, and a character that gains so much needed character development because of this scene. This is, in my opinion, the best deleted scene in the Harry Potter movies. And there's my list. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you agree with my ranking? Do you disagree?
I think he didn't do a bad job at rating. But we got one more movie, and I think it's also by Movie Flame. He makes all the great. He makes a lot of fantastic, like really, really good Harry Potter stuff. So shout out to Movie Flame for that. This is the entire timeline of the Gryffindor Quidditch team, 1688 to 2024, Harry Potter Explained. I'm curious about this one, so I'm ready to listen and give my point of views from what he says.
Quidditch in the Harry Potter movies was cut down a lot, which makes sense as they had to make room for other storylines in the novels. Because of this though, I thought it would be fun to take a look back at how Quidditch was done in the books. However, we won't just do the 7 books, but also the entire timeline of the Gryffindor Quidditch team spanning 336 years. We're going to go over McGonagall's time playing, as well as James Potter's, Charlie Weasley's, Harry's, and even the trio's kids later on in life. Before we start, I want to thank today's sponsor, G2M. For all Harry Potter fans. Now that I've said that, let's get into the video. So the earliest history we have on the Gryffindor Quidditch team dates back to 1688 when the first recorded captain, Asterix Alexian, was running the team. During his tenure as captain, he saw the worst loss Gryffindor ever had during the 1691 to 1692 season. It was so bad that this would continue to be the worst loss for 300 years, and we'll come back to this stat in a bit. We know a few more captains that succeeded Asterix, as Philomena Alchin, a player part of Asterix's team, was captain from 1692 to 1696, and following that, I'll just go through them quickly. We have Angelina Appleby from 1696 to 1700, Una Bollington from 1700 to 1704, Concepta Batista from 1704 to 1708, Betty Bickering from 1708 to 1712, Hugh Biggs from 1712 to 1716, Mike Boone from 1716 to 1720, Jason Charmer from 1720 to 1724, and Sophia Prickett from 1724 to probably around 1727. Moving to the early 20th century, we have a familiar face to pop up on the Gryffindor Quidditch team, none other than Minerva McGonagall. She, like her mother, was a gifted Quidditch player, though it's unknown what position she played, though if I had to guess, I'd say a seeker or a chaser. During her 7th and final year, Minerva led her team to the finals against Slytherin, and in her final game that decided who got the Quidditch Cup, McGonagall was knocked off her broom as a result of a dirty foul from the Slytherin team. This fall took her out of the game, left her with a concussion, several broken ribs, and most of all, a lifelong desire to see Slytherin crushed on the Quidditch pitch, which of course carries into her time as the head of Gryffindor during the course of the 7 books. Moving to the 1960s, we have a small mention of a player named RJH King who played on the Gryffindor Quidditch team and won an award for it in 1969. This can sort of be disregarded because there was also a plaque for an M. McGonagall there as well, saying that she played in the 1970s, which is impossible because she was a professor at that time, and there were no other M. McGonagalls because her father was a muggle. The 1960s did give us the highest scoring game of all time though, with a final score of 580 to 570, meaning there was a total of 1,150 points. Getting to the 1970s, the Gryffindor Quidditch team was blessed with the exceptional and very cocky James Potter. Many fans thought that he played Seeker like his son Harry, but Rowling actually revealed that he played Chaser. And if you're asking, then why was he playing with a snitch in the flashback, Rowling actually answered this. She said it was because it was easier to steal and hide than a quaffle and a lot more fun to play with. The film of course made his award say Seeker, but that was before Rowling revealed his true position. James was pretty popular because of his Quidditch skills, and he would oftentimes rumple up his hair to make it look like he just got off his broom to impress girls. It's unknown if he ever won a Quidditch Cup, but that plaque of his says all you need to know about his Quidditch skills. Now we reach the 1980s, which is the era where Charlie Weasley dominated the Quidditch pitch at Hogwarts. In the 1985 to 1986 school year, a second-year Charlie played Seeker, and he was absolutely incredible, giving the Gryffindor team the reputation as the fastest team at the school, even while being on a cheap broom due to his family's financial struggles. In his rookie season, Charlie helped Gryffindor win the Quidditch Cup, and it was an incredible performance for Charlie as he caught the snitch to seal the championship. As sweet as that first year was though, Charlie was unable to bring them back to the promised land. In his second year playing, they had a new captain named Angelica Cole, and things just did not click the way they did the season before. Despite having a player like Charlie, they failed to win the Quidditch Cup in the 1986 to 1987 school year, the 1987 to 1988 school year, the 1988 to 1989 school year, the year that Charlie was actually made captain of the team, as well as the 1989 to 1990 school year, and Charlie's final year, the 1990 to 1991 school year, which ended very badly, as they weren't just beaten by Slytherin in the final, but were flattened by them, crushing their hopes once again of winning the Quidditch Cup. However, the later losing years weren't all bad, as it was a time spent rebuilding a stacked Gryffindor roster, all thanks to the captain of the team, Charlie. First, in the 1988 to 1989 school year, Charlie's first year as captain, he brought on the second-year keeper Oliver Wood, who was very talented. Then, during Charlie's final year where they got flattened, Charlie brought on his younger twin brothers Fred and George, both of whom were in their second year, and though many said this was favoritism, the twins proved everyone wrong, as they were the high point of that season. That same season, Charlie also saw potential in a third-year girl named Alicia Spinnet, who didn't actually make the team, but Charlie kept her as a reserve chaser. Then, that brings us to the 1991 to 1992 season, where Oliver Wood took over as captain from Charlie Weasley. Oliver Wood kept Fred and George as beaters after their amazing rookie season, and he also took Alicia Spinnet off the reserve team, giving her a spot as one of the team's starting chasers. To complement Alicia's skills, he also brought on a third-year girl named Angelina Johnson and a second-year girl named Katie Bell, and they were perhaps the best group of chasers throughout all four houses. The team was stacked, but they were missing just one position, Seeker, a position Charlie had held for the last 6 seasons. Luckily, the famous Harry Potter arrived at Hogwarts that year, and following McGonagall seeing Harry's natural skills during his first flying lesson, she delightedly brought him to her house as captain, and Wood was ecstatic to have found the missing piece of his team. Wood taught Harry the basics of the game, and he was even more thrilled when he saw Harry's skills for himself. Harry happened to be the youngest player to be a starter in the last century, and to help him out, McGonagall bent the rules a bit to allow Harry to have his own broomstick despite the fact that he was a first year. And it was not just any broomstick, it was the Nimbus 2000, the fastest broom in the world at the time. In the opening match of the season, the chasers Wood had put together were amazing, Angelina scoring the first goal of the season for any team, and Alicia scoring a penalty shot after Marcus Flint, the captain of the Slytherin team, illegally blocked Harry from getting to the snitch. Harry's broom ended up being hijacked by Quirrell, but once that was squared away thanks to Hermione Granger, Harry raced toward the snitch and caught it by swallowing it. This led to Gryffindor winning the match 170 to 60. Later that season, Gryffindor played against Hufflepuff, a match that Snape was refereeing, which the Gryffindor team wasn't too fond of, seeing as he was the head of Slytherin. George ended up getting frustrated with some of Snape's calls, and he hit a bludger at him. This penalty ended up not mattering though, as Gryffindor's Star Seeker sped down and caught the snitch in what was record time as the...
I'll be back, chat. Alright, I'm back, chat.
Game only lasted 5 minutes, the final score being a wildly lopsided 180-20. Gryffindor's season looked so promising, and that Quidditch Cup was very near in view. However, unfortunately, Harry was unconscious in the hospital wing for 3 days, meaning he could not play in their third and final match for the cup. Ravenclaw gave Gryffindor their worst defeat in 300 years, which brings us back to that stat from the first match I mentioned from the 1691-1692 season, finally being beaten out for the worst loss to date for Gryffindors. This of course meant that Gryffindor had their 6th straight season without getting the Quidditch Cup. Moving on to the 1992 to 1993 school year, things didn't start out great as their practice time was taken over by the Slytherins due to them having to train their new seeker Draco Malfoy. On top of that, the Slytherins now each had the fastest broom at the time, the Nimbus 2001s, beating out even Harry's broom. They were so fast that when the twins went to spy on their practice, they reported back saying all they saw were green blurs. Gryffindor's first match of the season was against Slytherin, and things started off horribly as the Slytherins were up 60-0 at one point. This was because Harry was being pursued by a rogue bludger that only went after him, meaning that Fred and George were too busy protecting Harry to do their job as beaters. The Slytherins took advantage, and it was just too much for Wood and the Chasers to handle without their beaters. Making things worse, Harry eventually got his arm broken by the rogue bludger. But despite all of that, Harry still caught the snitch and won the game for Gryffindor. After the match, Wood was once again very excited about the team, and he once again saw the Quidditch Cup in sight. He had the team practicing every single night after dinner. However, their match against Hufflepuff was unfortunately cancelled due to the attacks on Muggleborns that year. This meant that the season was over and cancelled, and Gryffindor had their 7th straight season with no Quidditch Cup. After failing to get the Quidditch Cup for 2 straight years with the same team, they had a 3rd year with the same roster, which rarely ever happens. This was Wood's final year though, and he was determined to win that Quidditch Cup. Wood had them training 3 times a week before the season opener where they would play Slytherin. However, after Slytherin saw the weather forecast for that match, they used Draco's hurt arm as an excuse to postpone their game, instead making Gryffindor open their season playing Hufflepuff. This infuriated the Gryffindor team, and more than anyone else, Wood, as they had spent the last few weeks preparing for Slytherin, not Hufflepuff, which changes their whole game plan. Instead of facing off with Draco Malfoy, Harry would now face off against the Hufflepuff Seeker and Captain Cedric Diggory, who was much bigger than him and Draco. When it came time for the match, the weather was even worse than expected. Harry struggled to see as water kept covering his glasses. Luckily though, when Wood called timeout, Hermione put a spell on Harry's glasses to repel the water. When the match resumed, both Harry and Cedric spotted and went after the snitch, but when Dementors entered the pitch, Harry fell off his broom while Cedric was able to catch the snitch to end the game. Seeing what had happened, Cedric offered a rematch, but Gryffindor accepted their defeat, Wood even admitting that Cedric had gotten there before Harry got a chance. He was so depressed though that he stayed in the showers for over an hour. Jeez. With Cedric catching the snitch, Hufflepuff won by 100 points, and Harry got his first ever loss. The season was not looking too good after the season opener, but things looked up when Ravenclaw flattened Hufflepuff in their November match, which put Gryffindor in a better spot and made them think they had a legitimate chance to win the Quidditch Cup after all. If they beat Ravenclaw in their next match, they would go into 2nd place in the championship. They started practicing 5 times a week, and Harry was also gifted a Firebolt broomstick, the fastest broom in the world at the time, and this time it would not be beaten out like the other 2 fastest brooms were. During their final practice before the match against Ravenclaw, Wood said it was the best practice this team had ever had, which is saying something because they had been together for 3 years now. For this match, Harry was facing off against Ravenclaw Seeker Cho Chang, a 4th-year girl who flew on a Comet 260, a much slower broom compared to Harry's Firebolt. The match started off great for Gryffindor as they took an 80-point lead. However, Ravenclaw wasn't going down without a fight as they scored 30 straight points, making it 80-30. Harry led Cho in different directions, faking her out, but she also came to play as she made him lose sight of the snitch at one point. Eventually though, Harry not only fought off what he thought were 4 Dementors that turned out to be Malfoy, Crabbe, Goyle, and Flint, but he also caught the snitch to win the game for Gryffindor and to put them into 2nd place. The final score was 230-30, making Gryffindor's win by 200 points. Gryffindor watched as Slytherin narrowly defeated Ravenclaw, which was really good for them. But in Slytherin's next match, things didn't look as good, as Slytherin destroyed Hufflepuff, meaning they went into the championship leading Gryffindor by 200 points. This meant that Gryffindor would have to beat Slytherin by 210 points in the final to win the Quidditch Cup, which was a daunting task. They were up for the challenge though, and trained every day in preparation for the match. The feud between the two rival houses was stronger than ever, as Slytherin students tried to hurt or sabotage Harry and the other Gryffindor players. Wood, not taking any chances, arranged for the team to be escorted to class by other Gryffindors, ensuring his players did not get hurt. This aggressive rivalry carried on to the Quidditch pitch as well, as there were dirty plays from both teams, Fred and George giving the Slytherins a taste of their own medicine. Slytherin missed both of their penalty shots, or rather had it blocked by the exceptional Wood. Meanwhile, the Gryffindor chasers made all 3 of their penalty shots. The score was eventually 70-10 in favor of Gryffindor, and at that moment, Harry saw the snitch. He knew that they had enough points to win it all, and he raced after it. However, Draco grabbed onto the back of his broom, illegally stopping Harry from getting to the snitch, but also awarding another penalty shot for Gryffindor. But Alicia was so angry that she missed it. Slytherin took advantage of the Gryffindor's anger, and they scored a goal, making it 70-20, meaning that if Harry caught the snitch now, they would not win the cup. However, Angelina scored again, making it 80-20, but at that moment, Harry saw Draco diving for the snitch. Panicked, he raced after it as well, and luckily his firebolt was faster than Draco's Nimbus 2001. He knocked Draco out of the way and caught the snitch to win it all for Gryffindor for the first time in 8 seasons, the final score being 230-20. All of the Gryffindor players raced to Harry, and they all embraced in the air, knowing that they had finally done it. They had finally won the Quidditch Cup. As they flew down to the ground, still embracing, there were tears everywhere.
I've seen this art like 1,000 times. I think this, like, whatever fan made this, like, Harry Potter, like, Quidditch Cup winner fan art, made it so good. They deserve a fan art award. I think the art is just incredible.
Where not just with the players, but in McGonagall's eyes as well. Wood left Hogwarts on top, finally getting that championship, and he was one of a few Gryffindor Quidditch players.
Yeah, because then he won, and then he went on. In the 4th year, we meet Wood again in the Quidditch World Cup, and then Harry goes up to him and says, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I'm great. I'm on this pro Quidditch team now. I forgot the name, but he's probably going to say it in a minute.
To play professionally as he joined Puddlemere United's reserve team. The following year had no Quidditch as the Triwizard Tournament took its place, so we now move on to the 1995 to 1996 season. The now 7th year Angelina Johnson took Wood's place as captain of the team, and the only position she had...
Bro, she pissed me off as the captain. I'm gonna keep it $150. Her pissed me off. She wanted to be like Wood so bad. But I like Angelina, so it's whatever.
To fill was keeper. Alicia, Katie, Fred, George, and Harry all returned. They had tryouts for keeper, where Ron Weasley beat out Vicky Frobisher and Gregory Hooper. During the team's first training session with Ron was jeered by Slytherins in the crowd, which made him throw the quaffle so hard it gave Katie a bloody nose. Then he wasn't great at keeper, completely forgetting to cover the middle ring, probably the most important one. And to make things worse, Fred and George gave Katie one of their joke candies, thinking it was the one to stop a nosebleed, but they actually gave her the one that causes a nosebleed, which stopped practice altogether. As their season opener got closer, they trained every day, but on the morning of the first match, the Slytherins donned Weasley as their king badges, which came along with a song they started singing during the match that pretty much thanked Ron for being so bad that he just handed the Slytherins points. When the score was 40-10 in favor of Slytherin, Harry bailed his best friend out and beat Malfoy to the snitch to win the game. However, he was then illegally struck by a bludger in the back of his head after the match was over, courtesy of the new Slytherin beater Vincent Crabbe. Meanwhile, down on the ground, Malfoy made awful comments about Mr. and Mrs. Weasley.
I love this. It's coming up. Oh, this is my favorite fucking scene in the book, man. Oh, I love it. This is what made the 5th year so good. What they did to Draco, the entire book was just fabulous. What comes up is a 10 out of 10 writing.
as well as about Harry's mother, which caused Harry and George to charge at Malfoy, and they beat the crap out of him with their bare hands. Fred tried to get there as well, but he was just barely being held back by all three of the chasers, Katie, Angelina, and Alicia. This fight led to Umbridge banning Fred, George, and Harry from ever playing Quidditch again at Hogwarts, so the team had no beaters or a seeker. Fred and George were replaced by Jack Sloper and Andrew Kirk, and Harry was replaced by Ginny Weasley, who was actually really good. She had snuck in the Burrows broom shed as a child and used her brother's brooms to practice, which made her better than any of her brothers could have ever imagined. In their first match with their new roster, Hufflepuff defeated Gryffindor in a 22-minute long game, the final score of which was 240 to 230. It was full of bad mistakes for Gryffindor, with the only good part being the fact that the game was short. Sloper missed a bludger and hit Angelina in the mouth. Kirk shrieked and fell off his broom when Zachariah Smith, a chaser on the Hufflepuff team, came zooming toward him with a quaffle, and Ron let in all 14 shots against him. Luckily, Ginny ended it early, catching the snitch from right under the Hufflepuff Seeker's nose, greatly reducing Gryffindor's deficit. Later in the season, Hufflepuff narrowly defeated Slytherin, which was very good for Gryffindors as they went into their final match, which was against Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw's captain Roger Davies took the first shot, and Ron let it in. However, after that, Ron turned it on, saving quite a few goals. As the match went on, it became clear that Gryffindor had a chance at winning the Quidditch Cup. They just had to get a certain number of points. This is when Ginny stepped up as she beat the Ravenclaw Seeker Cho Chang to the snitch, winning the match and the Quidditch Cup for Gryffindor, and also making Cho cry. Following the victory, they carried the MVP of the game, Ron, on their shoulders, turning the taunting "Weasley is our king" song into Gryffindor's own victory chant. That brings us to the 1996 to 1997 season. Harry was appointed captain of the team as he entered his 6th year playing as Seeker. The only player still there from his original team was Chaser Katie Bell. Now that Harry was back at Seeker, he moved Ginny to Chaser to replace Alicia, which was a position she much preferred anyway, and Harry brought in Demelza Robbins to replace Angelina. With both of the twins gone and the beaters from the previous season graduated, Harry replaced them with Richie Coote and Jimmy Peaks. Then the only thing left was to see if Ron should continue as keeper. Ron ended up beating Cormac McLaggen out for the job, though he did have some help from Hermione, who confronted Cormac during his tryout. Before the first match, Katie Bell got seriously injured while in Hogsmeade, meaning Harry had to turn to his reserve chaser Dean Thomas. Gryffindor's first match was won against the depleted Slytherin team, as Malfoy was absent for the game, meaning they had a backup Seeker in, and Slytherin's best chaser Vasey was out with a head injury. Harry had also made Ron think he had drunk liquid luck, which gave him an insane amount of confidence as he saved goal after goal, and Gryffindor defeated Slytherin by 250 points. After the match, Ginny flew into the announcer's box, taking Zachariah Smith down. This was payback for bad-mouthing the Gryffindors all game while announcing, and when McGonagall confronted Ginny, she hilariously apologized for forgetting the break. Before the next match, Ron was in the hospital wing, and Harry was forced to bring in his reserve keeper, Cormac McLaggen. Right away, he was not good for the team, as he bossed everyone around, thinking he was better at their positions than they were. He also kept telling Harry what to do as captain and how to run the team, and all of this carried into the match as well. He flew away from the goalpost, took Peaks' bat, and was showing him how to swing it correctly. As Harry went over to put a stop to this, McLaggen nailed the bludger, mishit it, and hit Harry in the head, knocking him out and fracturing his skull. The final score saw Hufflepuff winning 320 to 60. Going into their final match, Harry was holding regular practices, the team he had originally put together finally back, as Katie, himself, and Ron were all healed up. During one practice close to the game, Harry said it was the best he had seen the team play while he was captain. The Gryffindor team knew that they had a chance to win the Quidditch Cup for the 3rd year in a row, of course skipping over Harry's 4th year with the Triwizard Tournament. However, their chances plummeted when Harry got detention every Saturday for the remainder of the school year after his fight with Draco, and this meant that Harry would miss the final. Because of this, Harry had to move some positions around, as he put Ginny back at Seeker and had Dean Thomas return as the 3rd chaser. Even without their captain, the team Harry had formed came together and played brilliantly. Ginny once again swooped under Cho Chang to get the snitch just as she did last season, and Gryffindor won both the match and the Quidditch Cup, the final score being 450 to 140. That was of course Harry's final year at Hogwarts, as he did not return for his 7th year, meaning he did not play Quidditch again. It's funny that his final time on the pitch was being knocked out by his own keeper with his own beater's bat. Nevertheless, though, Harry was able to bring home 3 Quidditch Cups out of his 5
row.
years playing, which certainly outshines Charlie, who could only bring 1. However,
he fucking three-peated, chat. He three-peated. This man three-peated. He three-peated. 3 in a row.
Harry did miss the final for 2 of those seasons, so there's still an argument to be made about who's better. Both Harry and Charlie could have gone pro if they wanted to, but neither went down that path, Charlie deciding to work with dragons, and Harry deciding to become an Auror. However, there is one Gryffindor who did go pro, and that was Ginny Weasley, who went on to play Chaser for the Holyhead Harpies, which shows just how good she was, as Oliver Wood couldn't even get a starting position on a team that wasn't a reserve team. Quidditch talent would also be passed down in the family, as Ginny's niece.
I'll be back. Alright, let's get this video underway.
Rose Granger Weasley, Ron and Hermione's daughter, went on to play Chaser during her second year, which was the 2018 to 2019 season, and she would continue to play until her final year in the 2023 to 2024 season, which wraps this timeline up because that is everything we know about the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.
That was a good video. He never fails to make a good. You
can follow me on
Potter video, which is good. Hermione Granger fan music 2 hours ago. 47 seconds. This is Hermione Granger Harry Potter fan music, chat. Never heard it. It literally was dropped 2 hours ago. Not bad. Not bad at all. Whoa, that picked up. Oh, we got Hedwig's theme down in there. Whoa. It just went crazy. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I don't even know if Subject watched half of a video yesterday, but not yet. Alright, chat. Short stream. Very short stream, but here's the thing. I am sorry I didn't stream yesterday. I was gonna do a long Hogwarts Legacy, me playing Hogwarts Legacy again stream, but for some reason my PC does not like the game, even though it's a high-end PC and it should like the fucking game, but it doesn't. Alright, that's why I didn't stream yesterday. Today, short stream, Harry Potter stream. I needed to stream, and I just thought, why not do a Harry Potter evening? I've done a Harry Potter night. Next thing is a Harry Potter morning we'll have to do. Alright, everyone. Have an amazing day. And peace out.